Okay, before I start filming, I have to show you what my little sister made for me. She's gone into crocheting and she literally made me a whole Betta. Oh, it's so cute. Look at it. It's a whole Betta. It's so cute. Hello friend, today's video is going to be a lot of fun because we're just going to be looking at tanks. It's going to be very laid back. We're just looking at tanks. Now, I do want to tell you that if you have not joined the Betta Fish Forum, which is a free Facebook group I have, you need to do so because all these pictures came from members who are inside, and I just love seeing their posts. Everybody is sharing their tanks and giving and gaining inspiration and sharing their bettas, and it's just amazing. But I took some of my top favorites from recently and I just wanted to share them with the family here on YouTube to hopefully help you gain some inspiration, especially if you're feeling kind of lacking in that area and maybe you want to rescape your tank. I'm thinking about rescaping this one. I might do it. I haven't decided yet, but I just might do it. So let's go ahead and just get started with one of my top favorites. I like the look of this tank. And it looks dark, almost like there are tannins in the water, but I don't think there are. I think the person who created this tank, which I actually didn't write down the names of each person who made each tank, so I'm so sorry. If this is your tank and you're in the Betta Fish Forum, comment a timestamp and tell me which one is yours. But I believe that this was achieved by getting some black poster board and putting it on the back of the tank, and then obviously they turned out the lights in the room and they used a small, likely a full spectrum light. I love the look of this tank. It's simple, but very effective. And there are several really beautiful live plants. I see some hornwort on the right. On the very left, I think that's a crypt. It looks like a crypt anyway. I could be wrong. And then right in the middle, lodged in between some rock, is a beautiful tiger lotus. Absolutely love it. I do want to point out how the person mixed substrates here. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. On this far left side, they put a type of black sand, I think it is. And then on the right side, just kind of curving with the little curve on the left side. And then they layered some rocks, some bigger rocks with varied colors. I love how that was done. It's very simple, but it's very effective. Moving on to the next tank. This one is a female Betta sorority. And they mixed a fake plant over to the right with some real plants. It looks like most of them are Amazon swords towards the front. Those are Amazon swords. And then towards the back, I have a little more difficulty with some of the plants, but I believe that is a wisteria. It looks like a type of wisteria to me. Beautiful tank. Again, if you'll notice the way that they split the substrates here, on the right side, they have a sandier kind of beige type of gravel. And then to the left, they have a dark gravel. I like that contrast. And I think that is a really neat, if you like to create contrast, that's a really neat and easy way to do it. Third, this tank, I love how bright this tank is. The light is so big that it's really illuminating the tank, and also the fact that it doesn't have a background. If you'll look at the dark tanks versus the brighter ones, you'll notice that the brighter ones never have a background on them, and I found this to be true for myself. So if you want to brighten up your tank, you can actually remove any background you've put on it. If you've put a darker kind of poster board, remove it and see whether you like it or not. I also love how natural this tank is. So if you look to the right, there's a piece of driftwood, and then fading over to the left, there's a bunch of stone. And on top of the stone, there's an Anubis. And then to the right again, there is another tiger lotus. That is beautiful. And on top of the driftwood, it looks like there's a pretty big Java fern mounted on top of there as well. And then there is a cutting of pothos, which is a house plant, and that's just kind of stuck in the middle, and you can see the roots kind of curving off into the back. I love that. That's beautiful. It's a very simple execution. There's the one thing I love about these types of tanks, and that's just how easy they are to replicate. Yes, there are tanks that are way more detailed, but they're also a lot higher maintenance, especially the ones with the carpeting plants and the big setups in the back. I'm not going to lie, I love them and they're beautiful, but I think for beginners, this is very, very attainable, and this is what I highly recommend you try right now. One of my favorite things to do right now is to mix the red plants with the green plants. It adds a lot of visual interest because you're mixing colors. That is what I currently have with Walter's tank, and I will just show a little clip of that. I have some tall plants that kind of fade from green into red as you go up, and then I have a crypt in there that is green but also a little bit purpley. I love experimenting with colorful plants, and I know that's not for everyone, but that's a really great and easy way to add visual interest without just going crazy on the scape and trying to do some big detailed thing, especially if you're still a beginner. This next tank I really like because it emphasizes a Blackwater tank. This isn't the light. This is actually, tannins were added to this water, and it's very easy to add tannins to your water. You just get you some botanicals and boil them. Or you can get something like the Betta Botanicals tea bags. I like using those, they're very easy. I also love how lush this tank is. You see a bunch of various plants, some Java moss all on the bottom. It looks like there's some wisteria in here, as well as some Amazon sword. And I think there's an anubis in the background a little bit. There may be a few other plants around there, but I do believe these are the main ones. And I like how they went for this almost Jurassic kind of vibe. They found this big dinosaur skeleton head that is, it's obviously tank decor, but I like how it's still a natural tone. It's just white. For some store-bought and plastic kind of resin structures, as long as they're natural colors, I think they flow really well. And I love how this was done. The execution is beautiful. And I also love the way that the driftwood goes in the back. It's just kind of tilted, and then the Java moss is growing all up and down it as well. Beautiful tank. This one I believe is one that we just looked at fairly recently, but this is just a rescape, so it kind of shows you how you can move things around. She just added some extra wood, I believe, and some extra plants in the background, just kind of relocated the rocks. And it's really neat to see, because a lot of times people think when rescaping, you need to buy all new things. They need to buy new plants, new decor. And the truth is, about 90% of the things you buy, you can completely recycle in your next scape. This next one is very simple. I think it is a 5-gallon tank with sand, and they've probably, what I'm assuming they've done is they've capped a planted substrate underneath. So they put some planted substrate underneath, and then they added sand over it. And this just kind of helps to keep the nutrients from leaching out into the water as much. A big Java fern, that is the primary plant you see right there, big Java fern, and then just a piece of driftwood sticking up. I see some anacharis also up at the top. They kind of look like little stars. And I see an anubis on the side. It's been secured with a suction cup. That's really pretty. I love how this tank was executed. Also, out of the frame, because I remember seeing another photo of it, outside the frame, you can kind of see some roots start to come in, and that's because this person has located some little houseplant cuttings like anubis or some philodendrons, and they've just kind of clipped them to the side of the tank. So the leaves are outside, and it's really beautiful. I love doing this with both my tanks. Second to last, another very bright tank, and if you notice, again, this one doesn't have a backdrop or any kind of poster board or anything in the background. If you want to brighten up your tank, this is a great way to do it. They also did put planted substrate in the tank, and they capped it with sand again. This is really going to help the aquatic plants that are pushed down into the substrate to thrive. And I love this stone. We have some anubis in here, Amazon sword, anacharis. I see Java fern, just a bunch of different and various plants. And a lot of these are pretty basic plants. You can find them almost anywhere. Now, the red ones and the purple ones, really the plants that are any other color besides green, you'll probably need to find at either a more specialty shop, or you can buy them online. I really recommend connecting with someone. If you see anybody in a group and they clearly have some thriving ones in their tank, consider reaching out and asking them if they'll send you a cutting, if you can either buy it from them or cover shipping. That's what I did for the ones that I have. And I found that on the store, they were usually 7 or 8 for a couple little cuttings. I found somebody that actually sent them to me, and I just covered shipping. So it's very possible that you can also do that as well. So beautiful tank, very well executed. And if you notice again, really all it is just some substrate, a couple rocks here and there, and then plants. A beautiful Betta tank does not have to be hard to make, I'm just saying. And lastly, this one is a 5-gallon cube tank, beautiful Java fern, and a bunch of, if you notice at the top, a bunch of houseplant cuttings that are just kind of spilling over the edges. I really think that this adds to the natural aesthetic of things. I'm a big fan of just putting little houseplant cuttings in your tank. If it's not your thing, you really don't have to, but it is beautiful and it really will elevate your tank. So if you want to try something new, consider giving that a try. But if you notice this tank, see how it looks darker even though it is right next to a window? That's because it has a solid back as well. So it's just black. So if they were to remove the backdrop that they have or that they're using, then the sunlight, especially when the sun sets, would really brighten up that tank. All right, friend, I hope you enjoyed looking at all the tanks with me. If you want to share a picture of your tank, please email me some pictures to maddie@fishmakelifebetta.com. I would love to see your tanks. I would also like to do another one of these in the future, so I may even consider adding yours in with the others. Let me know, what was your favorite element that you saw throughout the video? Maybe one thing that a lot of people seem to use that really helped to elevate the tank. If you have been subscribed for a while, I really appreciate you, and you are a valued member of this channel, because without you and without other people like you, there's no point in putting out this content. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. All right, friend, I hope to see you back here next week. You and your Betta have a blessed day, and I will see you soon.